Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today we're going to take a look at Harry Potter Hogwarts Battles. This is a brand new game that was put out by USAopoly. It is a 2 to 4 player game that takes roughly 45 minutes to an hour and a half to play. It is a fully cooperative deck building game, so all the players are going to be working together to defeat the box. The backstory of the game is that you're playing in the Harry Potter universe and you get to play the iconic characters of Harry Potter, Hermione, Ron, or Neville going against the various bad guys from the movies. And there are 7 different scenarios in the box, basically, or game boxes that will go through from movie 1 through movie 7. And as you work your way through there, you'll be adding new villains and new locations to the different decks, and you'll be getting new abilities for your characters and more powerful cards as you go through. So the overall impression of this game is that I do like it as a deck builder. Normally I'm not a big fan of deck builders, but being a cooperative deck builder, it piques my interest. I do like cooperative games, and so I was really interested to see how this one was going to play out. And I do like the Harry Potter universe. So as far as deck builders go, this is a great entry-level deck builder as they do a wonderful job of outlining the rules for new players as they take you through those first couple of games. They're very light and easy to understand. The rules are not heavy. The cards are very intuitive, so as you're playing, you start getting an idea of how the game plays really well, and after a couple rounds you pretty much have got it, so the learning curve isn't very heavy as well. And even as you work your way through the more advanced games, they don't add a lot of rules to them, and they do a very good job of outlining just the new changes by including these little rule books that are in each of the little boxes that you'll get in the overall big box. So on top of that, like I said, I think it's a very great entry-level deck builder for new players that may have not played deck builders before, and it will satisfy the seasoned deck builders as long as they like cooperative games. As you progress into the higher games, they are going to add more difficulty as you're going to be fighting more villains instead of just one that will have effects that will compound on each other and will definitely make the players' lives miserable. And you will feel the tension build as those new villains come in, and you'll be fighting all the villains from the different movies, including the nasty guy himself, Voldemort. So other than that, the only drawbacks that I've seen so far for this are the aesthetics of it. The game itself was well done, but there's definitely some of the things that we've kind of grown accustomed to with different board games. The card thickness, the coating on the cards is not the best. I noticed in my copy that you could notice a little bit of wear from the manufacturing of the game, and some of the other components of the game could have probably used a little bit more polish. But like I said, overall, there's just aesthetics, and the game plays absolutely great. The rules were well done. Everything else was well done. So a very, very small, minor thing overall, not a big deal, and it does look good. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. They did a very good job of getting the artwork from the different movies and the characters and all that, and each one of the different characters has their own special cards and abilities, so it's not that everybody starts with a generic deck. Each one of them has their own unique cards within their decks. So let's head to the table and I'll teach you guys how to play. Here we have some of the location cards. So at the top of the card is going to be the location's name. On the side here is going to be the game that the location is from and what number it is. So this is 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. So this one will be stacked on top of that one to start game 1. From there, each location is going to tell you how many dark arts cards are going to be drawn during each player's turn and resolved. And at the bottom of the card is the villain's control. Anytime a dark arts card instructs you or another effect to place a control token on it, you'll do that. And if there ever is control tokens equal to the number of icons on the card, then that card has been controlled by the villains and will be removed. And the next card will be revealed. So as we just covered with the location cards, here are the dark arts cards. And the location card will tell you how many dark arts cards to reveal during each player's turn. And these are the dark arts cards from the very first game. So at the bottom of each dark arts card, you're going to have the effects of that card. So for example, this one, the active hero loses 1 health and discards a card. Over here, the active hero loses 2 health. And this one will add a control token to the location. So each time that comes up, you'll add one of these little control tokens to the location. Here we have a couple of villains from the first game. So at the top of the card is going to be the villain's name and the game that that villain is from. From there, then you have the effects of that villain. So during an active player's turn, each time a control token is added to the location, the active hero will lose 2 health. At the bottom of the card, when the villain has received enough energy to kill him, which is equal to his health, then all the players will gain the reward that is listed or the effect. So with this one, you would remove 1 control from the location. With this one, all heroes will gain 1 influence and 1 health. The last type of card we're going to look at are the Hogwarts cards, which are the cards you're going to be able to purchase during your turn to make your deck more powerful. So the top of each card is going to be the game that that card is from. And there are 3 different types of Hogwarts cards. You have the ally cards, which have a blue background, the item cards, which have a yellow background, and the spell cards that have a red background. Each card has its own special effects that you'll gain when you use that card, and at the bottom of each card is the cost and influence points to purchase that card and add it to your discard pile. Player setup is real easy. Each player will receive a player dashboard, which will list their health with a token to track it, and each player will start at 10. On the bottom of the card is their slots for their energy and influence points, and you also have a spot for their draw pile and discard pile. So from here, each player will receive a turn order card, and then each player will choose which hero that they like to play as. So we're going to go ahead and set our game up with Harry Potter. You will also receive that wizard's cards. There are 10 of them to start with, and then each one will have that wizard's name on them. Go ahead and shuffle those cards up and place them in your draw pile, face down. From there, go ahead and draw the first 5 cards and place them in front of you. From here, you're ready to start the game. Setup for your first game is real easy. So you lay out the board and then go ahead and set up your locations in the top corner here and have the first one of the number of locations. So this is 1 of 2. From there, then you can go ahead and shuffle up your villain deck, your villain players, and place them out there. And then flip over the first one, and that is your first active villain. The other spots will not be used. From here, then you can go ahead and shuffle up the Dark Events cards and place them in their location as well. And you can place the control token somewhere close to the locations for easy use. From there, go ahead and shuffle up the Hogwarts deck. And place that out on top. And then you can flip over the first 6 cards. And these will be where the players can purchase these cards from. The last thing you can do is put out the tokens. You can either put them in one central location, or depending upon where your players are at, you can also just give them a certain number of tokens off to the side, as long as they remember that those are not their tokens during their turn, that they can just draw from them. So that's what we'll do for this game. From here, you're ready to start the first turn. So the last thing we need to do before we're ready to start the game is choose one of our players to go first. So we can do this in any order. You can just select a person. So we're going to go ahead and have Hermione go first. So each player turn is going to consist of 4 phases. The first phase is going to be looking at the location card, and it'll tell us how many dark arts events we have to reveal and resolve. So with this one, it says that we have to reveal 1 dark arts event. So we'll do that. And we'll read it. It says the active hero loses 1 health and discards a card. So Hermione's going to lose 1 health, and then she'll go ahead and choose one of her cards to discard into her discard pile. From there, step 2 is to look at the active villain and see if any of his effects apply. So this one says the active hero loses 1 health. So again, Hermione will lose 1 health, and that is all that's listed on his card. So step 2 is done. So step 3 will be letting the active hero use any of their Hogwarts cards that they have. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing that Hermione's going to do is spend her Elamora cards, which she has 2 of them. Each one of those will gain her 1 influence, so she'll take 2 influence tokens and put them on her board. Next, we're going to go ahead and use the Time Turner, which will gain us 1 influence. On top of that, it says that you may put spells you acquire on top of your deck instead of your discard pile. So that is pretty useful for us. So if we purchase any spells during our buying phase, then we can add those straight to our deck. So the last item we have are Tales of the Beetle Baird. So it says choose one, we can gain 2 influence, or all heroes gain 1 influence. So if we gain 2, we could purchase this card here. Other than that, or this card down here, which would be really good. So let's go ahead and do that this turn. We'll go ahead and use it, and we'll gain 2 cards, or 2 influence, so we'll put those there. And from there, we can go ahead and use the influence to purchase any cards that we want to. So we have 5, so we'll go ahead and spend all 5 to purchase this spell down here, which will give us 2 energy when we use it. And because we played the Time Turner card, we can place this on top of our deck instead of putting it in our discard. Normally, whenever you purchase a item or Hogwarts card, you have to place it in the discard first. All right, and that is the end of step 3. Step 4 is going to be the end of your turn. So the first thing you're going to do is check the location to make sure that there aren't an equal number of control tokens on it, and if there is, then you would remove it and reveal the next one. From there, if you've assigned enough energy to kill the villain, then you go ahead and remove him and resolve his rewards, and then reveal the next villain. From there, then you're going to go ahead and reveal any empty slots from the Hogwarts deck, and then you can place all of your cards that you've used into your discard pile. So I just usually transfer them straight to the discard pile once I use them. That way, then I know which ones I've used. And then from there, then you can go ahead and discard any energy or influence that you have not spent this turn. And if there are any cards that you have not used, you cannot save those cards. They must be discarded as well. From here, then you can go ahead and draw the next 5 cards from your deck and place them out. The only time you're going to reshuffle your discard pile or your discards are when your deck completely runs out from your draw pile. So as we have 1 card left, we will not reshuffle our discard pile until we draw the next card. All right, so now that we've completed Hermione's turn, now it's time to go ahead and take care of Harry's turn. So again, we would start in the top of the order and reveal the next event card based on the location. So with this one, it is He Who Must Not Be Named. Add 1 control to the location. So we'll take one of our control tokens and place it on that location. From there, then the villain as effect comes into play again, so Harry will lose 1 life. And then we can go ahead and start with the player's turn. So he's going to go ahead and use his 4 Alamora cards, place those in his discard pile, and he will gain 4 influence for that, 1 for each card. And then his last card is Firebolt, which will gain him 1 energy. And the other effect on the card is if you defeat a villain, also gain 1 influence. As Harry's not going to beat the villain this turn, then he doesn't have to worry about that. And then he's going to go ahead and spend his energy to add it underneath the villain. So he's done 1 damage to the villain. And then his influence points, he has 4. He does really want this card down here, the Quidditch gear. So he's going to go ahead and purchase that for 3. And the last one, which will be added to his discard pile, and the last influence he can't purchase. So at the end of his turn, that is going to be discarded back to the thing. And he can go ahead and draw the next 5 cards from his deck. Okay, and again, our draw pile is empty, but we don't need to draw any more cards. So again, we will not reshuffle that discard pile this turn. From there, we can go ahead and refill our Hogwarts card, and then it would go back over to Hermione for the next turn. And you'll keep doing this until you've completed the game by either defeating all of the villains, or if all the locations fill up first, then you have lost the game. Those are the 2 conditions. So now that you guys have finished your first game, you're ready to move on to game 2. In the box, there's going to be 7 different games. Each one will have their own box, and each box will contain different things. You'll have a little rule book, which will describe the new setup instructions or any new cards or effects that you'll need to handle. On top of that, You can potentially have new dark arts cards, you'll have new location cards, new villain cards, which I'm not going to reveal these because that's part of the fun, and then new Hogwarts cards. For this second game, it's another game that's just going to kind of teach you guys the rules and help you move along. So there's not a lot of changes yet. These cards will be shuffled into the regular Hogwarts deck from the first game, and as you set up the second game, you will get rid of all the cards that you purchased during the first game. So you'll start again with your starting 10 cards, and these will be shuffled into the game 1 cards. These locations will replace the ones from the game 1, and so those can be returned to the box and these will be put out. As for the villains, they'll be shuffled up with the game 1 villains, so in this one you're going to be facing 6 villains, so you're going to have your work cut out for you. And the same thing with the Dark Events cards. They will be shuffled in with the Game 1 Dark Events, as some of these are pretty nasty. But again, I'm not going to reveal those, just so that you guys have some surprises ahead of you.